What if the most important truth of your life didn't come from a confession, but from a phone call you were never supposed to answer? Jonah Reed had built his life on silence. 42 years old, urban planner for the city of Portland, widowed, no children, no drama, no scandals, just zoning maps, infrastructure reports, and the quiet comfort routines that never changed. Every morning at 5:50 a.m., Jonah woke to the same alarm, same shower, same black coffee, same bus, same office, same desk by the window that overlooked a river he barely noticed anymore. His life was predictable, controlled, safe, until the phone rang. It was 2:13 a.m., unknown number. Jonah almost ignored it, but something about the timing, the dead silence of the hour, made him answer. Hello. There was breathing on the other end. Then a whisper. He still doesn't know. Jonah frowned. Who is this? Silence. Then another voice. Calm. Low. End the call. Wrong line. The call disconnected. Jonah stared at his phone. His heart was racing. He tried calling back. The number didn't exist. He told himself it was a prank, a glitch, a wrong number. But the words echoed. He still doesn't know. Know what? The next morning, Jonah felt watched, not physically, not obviously, but something was off. At work, his manager checked in twice before lunch. Everything okay, Jonah? She asked. Yes, he said. She smiled. Good. We want to keep you steady. That word again. Steady. At lunch, a co-worker he barely spoke to suddenly sat beside him. You okay today? She asked. Yeah, Jonah said. Why? Just checking. That evening, Jonah opened his laptop. He searched his phone logs. The call wasn't there. No record. No trace. But he remembered. And then something else happened. 3 days later, Jonah was reviewing zoning archives when his system froze. The screen went black. Then a new window appeared. No login prompt. No software header. Just a dashboard. At the top, subject Jonah R. Stability status. Below it were metrics. Heart rate trends. Sleep cycles. Cortisol levels. Work productivity. Emotional variance. Real-time data. His data. Jonah pushed his chair back. What the hell? He whispered. The screen updated. Status. Within acceptable range. He shut down the computer. That night he couldn't sleep. His apartment felt different. Smaller. Colder. Like it wasn't entirely his. He opened his personal laptop and searched his cloud storage. Deep in an old backup folder, he found something new. Folder name. JR Continuity, Phase 2. He opened it. Inside were reports. Psychological evaluations. Behavioral predictions. Risk matrices. One sentence appeared again and again. Subject must not experience destabilizing recall. Destabilizing recall of what? Jonah's chest tightened. He kept reading. There were projections. Simulations. Contingency pathways. One file was titled, Failure Scenario, Memory Reactivation. Jonah slammed the laptop shut. The room felt like it was spinning. That night, his phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered. Jonah Reed. A voice said, calm, controlled, familiar. Who is this? Jonah demanded. A custodian. Of what? Of the version of you that still functions. Jonah's hand shook. You've been watching me. Yes. Why? Because if you remember, things break. What things? A pause. Everything that was built to survive your silence. The call ended. The truth didn't come in one revelation. It came in fragments. His therapist avoided certain topics. His doctor monitored him more closely than necessary. His sister called him every day, something she had never done before. Everyone was managing him, smoothing his life, avoiding stress, avoiding questions, avoiding memory. Then Jonah found the second folder, not on his work system, not in the cloud, but on an old external drive buried in a drawer, one he didn't remember owning. Folder name, Project Continuity JR Variant. Inside were court orders, medical authorizations, consent forms, and one sentence repeated across dozens of documents. Subject must not regain full memory until environmental stability is ensured. Jonah felt sick. He wasn't a patient. He wasn't a client. He was a risk. He kept digging. There was a video file, time-stamped 9 years ago. He hesitated, then pressed play. The screen showed a younger version of himself. Different haircut, different posture, different eyes, but unmistakably Jonah. He sat across from 3 people in a sterile room. A recorder sat on the table. His voice was calm. "I'm not backing down," he said in the video. "This isn't about blame. It's about collapse prevention. If I release this, the system fractures. But if I don't, people die slowly instead." A woman across the table leaned forward. "You understand what you're asking for?" "Yes," Jonah said. "I'm asking for time." The video cut. Jonah's breathing became shallow. Time for what? That night, the phone rang again. Same number. "You saw the file." The voice said. "You erased my memory." Jonah replied. "We paused it." "Why?" "Because you were about to dismantle a structure that keeps millions afloat. And now you're asking questions again." Jonah's voice was steady. "I want the truth." Silence. Then, 8 years ago, you discovered a fault in the national infrastructure grid. Not a bug, not a glitch, a design feature. What kind of feature? A suppression mechanism. Energy blackouts weren't accidents. They were controlled failures, used to stabilize markets, manipulate migration, influence elections, and redirect capital. Jonah felt cold. "I was going to expose it," he said. "Yes. So you erase me." "No," the voice replied. "We delayed you." "How?" "Through consented cognitive suppression." Jonah laughed bitterly. "You turned my life into a holding cell." "Yes," the voice said, "because when you remember, systems fail." Jonah didn't sleep for 2 days. He read everything, watched every file, connected every thread. The blackouts, the zoning shifts, the forced relocations, the economic collapses that always seemed to benefit the same institutions. He hadn't discovered a flaw. He had uncovered a control system. He wasn't dangerous because he was unstable. He was dangerous because he was precise. One night, he called the number back. "I want everything," Jonah said. "No filters, no blocks, no containment." "That's irreversible," the voice replied. "Good." The memories came violently. Meetings he didn't remember, threats disguised as negotiations, deals he refused, people who smiled while destroying entire regions. He remembered standing in a government chamber, facing a panel of officials. "You don't get to choose who lives in light and who lives in darkness," Jonah said. "Not quietly, not legally, not morally." He remembered their offer. Silence the evidence, or silence the memory. He chose memory. They chose for him. When it was over, Jonah collapsed on the floor of his apartment, shaking. But he was himself again. Fully, dangerously. He knew exactly what he had been building before they stopped him. A distributed exposure network. Not one leak, not one document, but thousands of nodes, each containing fragments of truth, impossible to erase. He finished what he started. He opened every archive, encrypted them, mirrored them, distributed them across jurisdictions, blockchains, universities, journalists, and legal organizations. He embedded the evidence inside public infrastructure. By the time the first article appeared, it was already too late. Hidden grid control system exposed. Then another. Intentional blackouts linked to market manipulation. Then another. Markets trembled. Governments denied. Institutions panicked. But the proof was undeniable. This time, Jonah remembered. The monitoring stopped. No more calls. No more dashboards. No more stability reports. Just silence. Jonah's job was terminated. His accounts were frozen. His passport was flagged. But something else happened. People listened. Not everyone. Not immediately. But enough. Investigations began. Whistleblower protections were activated. Hearings followed. Executives resigned. Contracts were voided. The grid didn't collapse. But it cracked. Months later, Jonah sat alone in a small mountain town far from Portland. No routines. No tracking. No stability metrics. Just the sound of wind and the weight of truth. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He didn't answer. Instead, he turned it off, because for the first time in nearly a decade, his mind was his own, and he understood something clearly. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is not lose control. It's remember who took it from you.